Only do this if you live in an area where the pipes don't freeze.
It's really time consuming. This would take easily like 3 hella full days of labor to complete if you're going to build your water heater cabinet and use stainless plumbing. And the advantage of this is that you can use these old for free on Craigslist water heaters and run them until they die, and you don't have to worry about if it explodes. Like, it explodes, who cares? And it'll spray water everywhere, and it won't do that average $5,000 to $7,000 worth of damage in your tree corpse framed trash home, because you know that's what wood framed homes are, is they're trash. Sorry to break it to you. It just won't do that kind of damage, and you have the advantage of not worrying about letting a water heater go until it's dead. Now, just put it in the garage. Yeah, that's a little ways away though. Okay, here is a water heater cabinet. I do not recommend a round water heater barrel cabinet. This is a 36-inch barrel. It is pretty much the minimum size if you're going to use one of these things. But I do recommend a gun safe, although you're going to have to cut open a lot of metal to make it as lightweight as a fully loaded 60-gallon water heater. Otherwise, it's just going to be too heavy. But it's solid. You can anchor it at the corners with really sizable bolts into the concrete, your deep, thick concrete, in order to keep this thing seismically anchored. It's got a door ready to go. You don't have to try to build a door out of a round thing and reinforce it, which is a real pain in the ass. So yeah, I recommend a pre-built cabinet, not one of those flimsy ass galvanized cabinets. It's just going to fail on you. For 50 cents a square foot, if you're like me, you can just cover it in stainless steel, or in this case aluminum. And since aluminum reacts significantly with copper, I put this little stainless spacer over there. Here is my locking pin. It's because of this door, it's kind of awkward, so I have to push open. Oh yeah, and I have this plumbing thing here, so made that so that it's clear. It was really freaking pain in the ass to reinforce this door, and this vent system, it's really excessive. There's a thing called net-free area, and with louvers and screen of this size, I think the net-free area is like one third of your area. But I think the net-free area is actually for venting like passive things like that. I don't know if it really counts for water heater ventilation. Anyway, you want a vent near the intake and a vent near the exhaust, so that there's no turbulence between the two flows fighting for each other. Everything's on a valve. Now, there's some discussion about whether or not you can use a flex connector for these emergency exits, and I don't think there's really any discussion about whether or not you can use a flex connector for that. But these stainless steel ones can handle the temperatures that in like 212 degrees, but the copper ones are not rated for that, so that's why you can't use the copper flex connectors. So it might be a wives' tale that you can't use flex connectors. I think that's the reason. This is a heat shield, so that there isn't excessive heat, radiant heat coming from the hot gas going to the expansion tank, because there's like a little bladder in there and you don't want it to get too hot. Stainless fittings, God, those are a pain to wrench on. It's so much better if you have like good stainless fittings, like these stainless unions. That's it, like a Camco union. If you use the expensive ones, like the 3M, that's 3,000 pound fittings, then you're almost always going to get good quality fittings. But generally, I'd recommend like staying away from stainless fittings, unless you're like really serious about quality, because it's just a real pain to wrench on it. This is the top of a table saw, a Ryobi, and a Ryobi table saw is more valuable here than it is in any garage or shop. Obviously, this is just a regular steel tank, and you know, steel sucks. You don't want it exposed to the weather. It's just shit. But it's good enough to last like 80 years outside without any serious problems. Look at the clearance between the sewer pipe there. It's like nothing. This is a double wall pipe going up, custom double wall thing. Don't know if I need double wall for exterior, but it probably does help for making that gas escape faster, which is probably completely useless. And you're supposed to have it within, you know, less than an inch, or more than 2 inches probably, of anything flammable, and less than an inch of insulation.
However, those are just the rules, and we will see that it is not a danger in the following clip.
Okay, just took a shower, got the water heater firing.
This is a 50,000 BTU water heater. It's not particularly efficient. I think the average old water heater is about 67% efficient. So the amount of heat traveling through that tube is about the amount of heat that's traveling through the tube of a 80% efficient furnace, which is not a very efficient furnace, for a fairly large house. So quite a bit of heat going through there as far as non-commercial gas appliances go.
Well, it's maybe 10 degrees warmer than my shower water. So this is what they want you to keep, 2 inches from anything combustible. That's my hold down mechanism. It's so freaking safe. I really don't see how it could be an actual danger to anything flammable. Like even like dry grass, like no danger. Problem with using these barrels is you have to like have adjustable like feet underneath the anchor bolts to make it like solidly planted on the ground. Otherwise it would be pretty wobbly. Oh, there's a lid up there. Oh yeah, back to the tube. So there's a stainless center tube, and I took a piece of the stainless tube and I cut it. I cut like a little ring off of it, and I slid it in the middle, and I fit it around the outside. I cut the hole through this tank the size of the pipe, and then I welded that ring like 3 inches above the bottom of the pipe, and then so I could slip the 4-inch internal diameter stainless pipe over onto just the barrel top. And then on this piece of aluminum sheet metal, I drilled that hole at 4 inches, and I just stretched and bent that portion upward. So if water wants to drip over there, it can't like go, well, there is like wicking or whatever, but it's not gonna like just pour into here, into the hole. Like pretty much zero water is gonna get up and over the lip and then into the water heater area. So it's gonna keep the compartment from getting rained on. After that stainless steel pipe went in, this aluminum pipe went over. It is not a very thin aluminum pipe, and I used some stainless screws, and those are like my adjuster screws. They just like cinch the pipe into the center, the stainless pipe into the center of the aluminum pipe. So that's how that works. And then to get utilities in here, I used PEX and to cover them from the sunshine, which isn't like extremely necessary, but it is necessary to just don't have them be exposed to direct sunlight. This is just too much light is going to wear out the pipes pretty fast. So I put over this corrugated plastic stuff. I like cut it in half lengthways and then cut a little section off, and then I could just slip it over the pipes. I've yet to foam that in. I'm going to foam it in, even though it'll make it more difficult to remove later. I don't want like mice getting in there, so I'm just going to spray foam it. And when you do the expansion tank, you pump it up to your ambient pressure, and you put a pressure gauge here. I don't actually have a backflow prevention valve on my system. Thank fucking God they haven't done that to my plumbing system yet. So I don't need the expansion tank, but it is required by code. So I'm putting it in there.
You'll notice that there's no strapping and seismic anchoring for the expansion tank, and oh well, I don't think I'll ever get caught, and I don't think it'll make a difference. But depending on how your pipes are configured and whether or not they'll flex and break in an earthquake, you might do so.
And then I have an accessory, 100 psi blowout valve. I used larger nipples and a thicker hose than came with the hot water heater because because I was lazy doing the gas line. There's a section of this gas line back there that is a 1/2 inch internal diameter, and that's you know, that's not much. This is like at the very end of the gas run, and the pressure's not as much, and so it kind of needed all the help it could get. And there's a full port valve, all the help it could get to make sure I get decent gas flow to the water heater. The seismic straps, I put a lot of stainless screws in through the steel tank to these cross beams, and it's just bolted to the cross beam.
Minimum bolt diameter 1/4 inch.
I didn't want any wood in here because I fucking hate wood, and I wanted to be proud of, kind of proud of what I built. So I attached all the structural increasers or whatever on to this tank before wrapping it in aluminum sheet metal. I was planning on having these stainless half lock things for this rounded door. They don't want to stay in because it's a rounded door and it likes to open this way. You might consider running electrical to your water heater area. So that if you have to come out here at night, you can install a switch and a light if you really want to. But B, because some of the newer water heaters, even gas ones, require electricity. Up to you. It used to be that a stainless internal tank gas water heater was like $3,000 like a year ago, but it's down to like $2,200. But the electric stainless ones with lifetime warranties are only $700.
I just checked it, and it's like $540 actually. I think we're going to start using stainless tanks nowadays. It's going to be good.
So electric really might be the way to go, especially with solar panels and that government subsidy called net metering. These stainless flex hoses are not only cheaper, but they're like way easier to bend than the copper ones.
You might have to buy them online. That's what I did. I didn't see them at Home Depot.
Yeah, only use copper pipes if it's like total trash plumbing that you just don't care about. You shouldn't use copper on anything that matters, because copper sucks. So it will never win any beauty contests, but when all the pretty ones die off, this one will still be around.